Good morning, everybody. This is Gleason with Startuptrading.com. It is 9 a.m., June 23rd, 2020. Economic news from the overnight session. We had the PMI numbers out of Europe, as well as the Great Britain pound. This morning at 9:45, 15 minutes after the bell for the U.S. markets, we're going to have the flash PMI numbers coming out, and then new home sales at 10 a.m. This evening, Bank of Japan summary of options is going to be at 7:50, and then a New Zealand dollar RBNZ rate statement, which is equivalent to their FOMC, is going to be at 10 p.m. tonight. Tomorrow for economic news and just in the overnight session, we have the German IFO business climate at 4 a.m. as well as the Credit Suisse economic expectations for the Swiss franc. And that's it until tomorrow morning at past the open, where we're going to have crude oil inventories for the U.S. markets. Let's take a look here. We do have quite a lot of movement in the overnight session, so there's a lot to go over here this morning. Yesterday, I'm just going to point out, we'll start off with the S&P, and then I'm just going to back out to the daily chart. I want to talk about some of these larger time frame upside profit targets. There is an extension in the S&P, a high-to-high sequence that goes back to March 27th. This sequence has been holding every time we've come into it, and it's led to all our previous upside targets. The most recent pullback came just after rollover. We traded down into the 50% retracement on June 15th. The upside target the S&P is heading to is 3372. 3372 is our upside profit target. The reaction off of that move was incredible. We had a quick, swift move down going into rollover, and then we spent all of last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, consolidating. That consolidation led to a breakdown, which all that breakdown was another entry into the long trend. We have the full 50% retracement at 3040 quarter, which gives us an upside target of 3211.75 that's been validated by breaking above that opposing 61.8. Now, with that being said, yesterday off the open, I'm going to show you guys really what our first move is. I'm getting rid of the extended session because this is going to be important moving forward. Yesterday off the open, there was our first halfway back, and it was just a low at 930 to high. That traded at 11 o'clock and completed targets, and then we had that 11 o'clock low to high. That traded at the end of the day at 3 o'clock, and we have totally blown through targets. Now, because we've blown through targets and there was a little bit of a wild candles in the overnight session, obviously the wild candles came from what was that headline where the China trade deal was off, and then it was back on 15 minutes later, which led to about a 40-point range in the S&P. But today, we are looking at a 31-point gap up, and our higher time frame targets are quite a bit above. What I'm going to be looking for, and I've thrown it in the laser setup section here, is just the extension from 3109 to high. 3109 to high, the overnight high, that gives us a support zone from 3132 to 3127.5, and an upside target of 3154 as long as we stay above 3123. Okay, so that's our bullish above. If we do break that, I would just look at that next traditional, but all day today I am bullish above 3112s, bullish above 3112s to the S&P 500. Moving on to the Dow, very similar situation. The Dow came into the full 50% retracement from the 15th, June 15th, low to high on that Sunday night open. In fact, the Dow actually traded it on the close on Friday after the official 4 o'clock cash bell. We then began a rally Sunday night. We came into a full 50% retracement, and we have totally blown through those targets. The high from 25,825 to high is what we want to pay attention to. Let's see here. So the high from 25,858 to high, that support level is 26,127 to 26,076. That's the zone. Moving on to the Nasdaq. Once again, I'm going to just show you guys the Nasdaq is the most aggressive market. By far has been the Nasdaq My saying is the Nasdaq only goes down so it can go up. It goes down so it can go higher. We go down and we go higher. We go down and we go higher. We go down and we go higher every time. Literally every time. Get into the habit, regardless of the short setups, of just looking for support levels in the Nasdaq, because we consistently and constantly make new highs. Okay, I'm not going to argue with the tape. It's absolutely absurd, but the market is what the market is. The extension in the Nasdaq targets 10,227. We're at an all-time high. Our other higher time frame targets are all the way up at 10,532. In the Nasdaq, up another 69 points here in the overnight session. Now, if you get rid of the extended session here, I just want to follow the sequence from yesterday. We had a 50% retracement, trade 2 targets, and then that swing low from 10,012 too high, traded to the tick. In the overnight session here, we have completed targets. We have completed profit targets. So what I'm actually going to look for in the morning is that next traditional, the 10,066 to high. And I'm going to add this to the laser setups. It's a 10,135. 10,135. And it looks a little sloppy, but once we open, you can actually just get rid of the extended session. It looks like I'm drawing out of thin air, but that's where that level's coming from. It's going to be a gap fill as well. Moving on to oil. Oil's upside target is a 41.84. Now, we came into, in the overnight session, the 50% retracement from the spike low on Friday, the 38.51 to high. That was a 39.88. We have technically validated those upside profit targets by breaking out of the short, and you could look at the first test of 40.70 that lines up with the previous high we broke out of. This zone here, we have an hourly leg start right here at 40.53. 40.70 to 40.53 is the support zone I'll be looking for in oil. Oil inventories are tomorrow. They're not today. The USD JPY. This is probably one of my favorite setups, the way this traded. We have higher time frame downside targets of 105.99, and then what we've been inside of is this 50% retracement that was front run by 4 ticks on Thursday. We went sideways Thursday, Friday, Monday, and then in the after hours on our fake news event, we rotated up into that 50% retracement. Anytime you see a wedge build like this in an immediate rotation up into a halfway back, it's literally a perfect entry. So this was actually part of the Forex alerts last night. It was a sell 107.16 with a stop of 107.36 and a target of 106.34. So that target's about to hit. I do believe we will continue to collapse through here down to the 105.99 targets. We also have a higher time frame target at 105.77. So as soon as we get through this 106.47 low, I'm going to begin looking at extensions, and you could even argue to use the anchor, the 106.66 to low. That is going to be an extension anchor here this morning, and I would use a 1 hour ATR, but continue to, you could either, if you're already short, you could trail this hourly candle here, you could, and then just continue to look for that target all the way down at 106. We are breaking down out of and through an 8-day low here. Currencies are moving. Aussie dollar also, this was a setup from the Forex alerts. We had this halfway back long, 68.66. Now we have completed targets. After breaking the opposing, we had this traditional. I'm just going to look, I'm going to be a little conservative here and just look at this next traditional, which is basically 68.92 to high. That lines up with the area we broke out of. 68.92 to high gives me a 69.32 support level. 69.32 support for the Aussie dollar. For the euro, I'm looking at this extension. Last night on our events, we had a rotation down into a 50% retracement that stuck a halfway back. We blew through negative 23, came all the way to negative 61.8% profit targets. We have a 112.80 to high that gives us a support level at a 130.08. 130.08, that's that 50% retracement. The 38.2 might catch a bid at 113.15 on a first test, but that's our sequence. Moving on to the GBP USD, we had a next traditional at the 124.42. This was actually a setup from yesterday during the trade room. Now we're in a little bit of a consolidation because we have run into what is the next traditional short measured move from last week's high on Tuesday to low. That's a 125.10. 125.10 is the resistance, 124.42 is the support, and it's just a little bit of a battle zone as long as we stay below that 125.10. Moving on to the USD CAD, we ended up trading a full 50% retracement short. Our rotation target's lower, our 134.69. There really isn't much to do until we complete that target. If we get all the way down to the 134.20, we'll be running into a 4-hour leg start in the beginning of our move going back to Thursday, June 11th. So there could be a possible reversal zone below that 134.20. But right now, we're below the lows of the week. Haven't quite hit our target yet. Once we do, we'll have a next measured move. Moving on to the gold market. Now, this was a little sloppy because we had broken extensions. Now, initially, and I actually think this extension will come back into play, we had a extension from what was, or a traditional from Friday, June 5th to the high of the 11th. And there was actually a bid here. Okay, there was a bid on this 50% retracement. And then we made a new high and it came back to play, and we made a new high and it came back to play. Anyway, it really has been super sloppy here. So what I'm interested in actually looking for right now, I'm just going to leave what was the last extension that traded Friday was the 1742.6. It traded to target. That extension, it pierced, defended the 61. This is what I'm using. 1742.6 to high. And that's just going to give us an upside target of 1784.7. But once we get that upside target, I'm going to begin to use the previous anchor going back to June 11th again. So wait till we complete the 1784 level, and then we'll have another new setup probably tomorrow for gold. Silver has traded its next traditional. Thursday's low to high. Upside target in silver is 1837. If we can get a halfway back long from lows here today, that would be a great support level. It's going to be a 1790. So if we can get 1790 to trade, that is absolutely a lovely support level I'd like to see trade here today. But that's going to wrap up my morning trade plan, guys. There's a lot going on. I'll be going over all of it with you guys in my trade room. If you enjoyed this content, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, share it with anybody who might be interested. I will share all of my levels in the trade plan video section of the trade room. If you're interested in checking it out, sign up in the link below, because if you're not there, you're missing out. I answer all the questions related to the markets there daily, share my screen, etc. So everybody take care, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in the trade room.